Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Transfer Portal YouTube channel presented by NoContextCFB. It is the most beautiful time of the year. We have waited all year for this, the best sporting event in the world. The FCS playoffs have been revealed. The bracket yesterday, selection show, all that stuff happened. What, do you think I was going to talk about the World Cup? This is a college football YouTube channel,
No. You
FCS.
were saying the best time of the year. I thought you were about to say something about Black Friday deals.
Well, you know what? We're getting a lot of games, and I don't know
Yeah,
how
we
you're going to be
are.
able to deal with all this content because we're dropping a lot with the FCS because who doesn't love some good FCS ball? Bracket just got released. Liam and I, we both made a bracket. We have reasoning. We have some players to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun, Liam.
It is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to see how different our brackets are. This is a very even field because we have South Dakota State and Sac State, who really are like an even 1-2 at the top. North Dakota State hasn't been as dominant as you'd have liked to see. They still should be there, Arizona. They threw that game away. There was no reason they should have lost it. And then is Incarnate Word gonna make a run? Maybe Samford could give NDSU a test. How long is Sac State going to stay up? They have a potential Big Sky Showdown rematch with Weber State, who's a dang good team. There are so many different storylines to watch this year. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out, man. Like, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and I don't think you talked about, in my opinion, one of the biggest storylines, and that's one of the fringe bubble teams, Montana, getting in. We'll get to them a
Yeah.
little bit later, but a lot of people thought that the 7-4 Grizzlies, especially after that Brawl the Wild blowout in Bozeman, say that 5 times fast, that they wouldn't get
For
in
all the
because of it.
wild blowout and Bozeman.
Brawl the Wild blowout and Bozeman, Brawl the Wild blowout and Blowsman. Yeah,
Yeah,
Blowsman,
not
Montana.
great. But like Montana getting in, like, dude, think about UC Davis, how close they were. With just 6 wins, they were still dang close to making it. They had that 2 point loss against South Dakota State early. What, 4 point loss to Weber State? They had so many close losses against some of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, and I think that there's also going to be a good amount of people upset that there's no Florida A&M. Obviously,
Mhm.
I thought that yesterday, and we'll get into the bracket very
Even
shortly.
Mercer would have been fun to see.
Mercer would have been
Expand.
good. Expand the playoff, not just the FBS. Give us 48 in the FCS.
Yeah.
Mike Leach, you are now the head coach of Missouri State, but which also, by the way, how they fell off, that was insane.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah,
Florida
tough
A&M is
go.
going to upset some people. I thought that, and I'm forgetting his name already, Jermaine, the athletic director at um,
Uh, I don't
Bucknell. He's
remember.
he's the AD at Bucknell. I thought he did a stellar job yesterday with the media and talking about why this team got in, why this team didn't. So much better than boo.
Boo.
I mean,
Ugh.
yeah, it was awful. But we'll jump straight into the bracket. First round matchup. We're starting at the top. I have a bracket that goes just all the way on the left side, so we'll probably be going for a four-sided top left to bottom left, top right to bottom right. This will be St. Francis, PA, 9-2 record, going up against the Blue Hens of Delaware. Liam, who you got?
I mean, obviously, I'm taking the Blue Hens, right? I loved watching this team early in the year against Navy. I was watching them at the same time I was watching that thriller, South Dakota State, Iowa. I'm taking Delaware here. Nolan Henderson's actually a legit stud at quarterback. I really liked what I saw from him against Navy throwing on the run. Just really good. And then Johnny Buchanan, what's he have, like 115 total tackles this year?
Yep.
Guy's a bodybuilder, like legit bodybuilder. I'm not like just saying that because of his build or anything. This guy's got a bodybuilding future after his NFL playing days are over, because I think he's going to end up there. That kid's a monster.
Yeah, Delaware started off hot. They had the win over FBS Navy. As bad as Navy is, it's FBS. The Red Flash of St. Francis only have losses to Akron and Richmond in the first 2 weeks of the
Mm-hmm.
season.
Good
They
team.
won, they won 9 straight. It's a good football team. But one thing you're going to hear me say a lot, the strength of schedule is a factor here. The strength of schedule is a factor. Delaware's played tougher teams. They've sputtered a little bit going into the later part of the season. I love that you brought up Johnny Buchanan. He's a stellar linebacker. Look for him to make plays all day. I'm also going to take Delaware here at home. Moving on, Fordham, New Hampshire. This is one of the best games of the first round. 9-2 Rams, 8-3 New Hampshire. Liam, are we going to see that possible rematch of Holy Cross and Fordham, or do you have New Hampshire here?
Like, it's tough not to pick Fordham here because for those who don't know, I mean, if you're listening, you probably do know because you're an FCS person, I assume. The Fordham Holy Cross OT thriller, what was the final score? Like 55-52 at
Yep.
Holy
53
Cross, I believe.
52.
53-52.
One point game.
It was a thriller down to the wire. Matthew Sluka for Holy Cross ends up getting them the touchdown to go down one. They ran a little Holy Cross special for the 2-point play. Great teams. New Hampshire's got a stud at quarterback and Max Brosmer. We know that Quincy Avery talked highly about him a few weeks ago, but you gotta give me Tim DeMora and Fordham. Like, give me that offense. I know that they could score 40, 50, 60 plus on any given Saturday. It seems passing attack is lethal. I'll take Fordham.
I'm so happy that the committee gave us this little section. I know we talked before recording about how the committee wanted to give us regional games. This is a massive regional game. Fordham, obviously, in the Northeast. New Hampshire, I guess they're in the Northeast because it's freaking New Hampshire. And the winner's going to play Holy Cross, who's in freaking Massachusetts. I love this game. Fordham's offense is elite. You talked about the quarterback matchup. Tim DeMorat leading the nation in passing yards in Division One. Absolutely stellar season. Look out for Fotis. I'm not going to attempt to say his last name.
What? You're not going to try and say Kokosilas?
Kokosiulis. Sure. I think I did pretty well.
Good there.
I think I did pretty well. They're going to have probably 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm going to take Fordham here.
They have 3 receivers over 1,000 yards.
That's freaking insane. It's
it's
unheard of. It is unheard of.
Yeah.
I'm taking Fordham's offense because I'm not going to rob us of that amazing rematch that we'll get to later between Fordham and Holy Cross. Moving on, I would say that this is probably the worst first round game. Gardner Webb from the Big South at Eastern Kentucky, 6-5, running Bulldogs. I love that nickname. They just add the running in there, and they have one of the best logos in the country against Eastern Kentucky. Liam, what to make of this?
Truth be told, I'm going with Gardner Webb because I like how they play. I know that they're like 6-5, but I like how they played some tough opponents. You look at they played pretty well against Coastal Carolina and Liberty. They played some other decent teams pretty well. So I'm gonna take Gardner Webb. I don't know. I think you could turn some of those tough L's into shiny W's.
Yeah, you know what they say. L. Turn it into a W.
They all say it.
Yeah, I'm on Gardner Webb as well. I hate how we're very similar right now. You brought up the Liberty. You brought up the Coastal and Liberty games. They lost those 2 games, which are Liberty, former ranked opponent. Coastal, I believe, is now currently ranked. They lost those 2 games by a combined 5 points. Gardner Webb's a good football team. Eastern Kentucky, yes, they had that like 8 overtime thriller against Bowling Green. Oh my gosh, that game was freaking insane. But we know one thing about Eastern Kentucky, their defense is certainly not a strength. They always give up points. Gardner Webb has a receiver in TJ Luther, totaled over 1,000 yards, good amount of touchdowns, 18.8 yards per catch. Watch for him have a massive day, catch a 55-yard, any type of route touchdown. He's going to go ballistic. I'm going to take Gardner Webb here as we move on to one of my favorite matchups of the first round. North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, 7-4 at Weber State, one of the most thrilling teams in the FCS this year at 9-2, Liam.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short and simple. I think Weber State's a really dang good football team. I kind of expect them to make a run here, truthfully. I think Maxwell Anderson's an NFL cornerback. This defense is legit, and they've got a stellar running game with multiple really good running backs. I like Weber State in this one by a decent margin.
Yeah, I'm also going to save my analysis of Weber State till the next round because I have them moving on. Look, North Dakota is a fine team. They just don't really have a statement performance. This includes the Nebraska game because playing well against Scott Frost isn't a statement of competency. It's a statement of competency, not legitimacy. I messed that up. I suck for that, but you know what? We move on. Southeast Missouri State in the top right bracket now at Montana, the 9-2 Southeast Missouri State against the 7-4 Grizzlies in Missoula. This game is in Missoula, Liam.
Yeah, it's hard not to pick Montana here. Like, it's just really hard not to pick them. They got, there's no words to describe what just happened in the Brawl, the Wild, and Bozeman. They got absolutely eviscerated. I'm taking Montana to bounce back.
Yeah, as someone who likes Montana, as has family that went to Montana, it was a little sad. Now, granted, I also predicted it would be pretty much a blowout. So I'm going to take that win because I can't take any other wins from that game. But the coin flip favored Southeast Missouri State over UT Martin. I don't really think it matters at this point. Montana just got embarrassed. Bounce back spot. You're at home. Missoula's going to be bouncing. I'm going to take Montana here to set up an insane matchup
Yeah.
in the second round. We didn't think that we could possibly get this matchup before the season in the second round, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Montana, I freaking love them. Idaho, 7-4. If only this was at the Kibby Dome, but they're going down southeastern Louisiana, Liam.
Yeah, going down to the southeast ain't nothing new for Idaho. Hashtag Sun Belt royalty. I like Coach Jason Eck and his squad here to get a tough road victory. I think a lot of people are going to pick southeastern Louisiana, but give me the Vandals.
Okay, so we are completely the same right now because there is no way on earth I can go against my guy Coach Eck and that Idaho team. I'll talk a little bit more about them when we get to the second round. But man, one of my players to watch, he's been going ballistic on that Vandal offense. If only this was in the Kibby Dome. Imagine a playoff game in the Kibby Dome. Idaho breaking that playoff drought. Give us a home game, please.
Yeah.
Come on.
And just to like give some more perspective on Idaho right quick, they played Washington State real tough back in week 1, and they played at Indiana very tough as well. These guys can play no matter who's on the other side. The Big Sky's just the elite conference. You're going to take some L's.
Let's see. Elite conference with elite football teams, elite fan base, elite social media. Yeah, the Big Sky's just the best. We are the biggest Big Sky fans here, if you couldn't tell. Moving on. 8-3, Elon at 9-2, Furman. I think this is one of the best games of the first round, Liam. Would you agree?
I do think it's going to be really fun. I'm gonna take Furman. I'm gonna go with like a 23-21 final score.
I think Elon's strength of wins is just vastly better than Furman's. Elon's got 4 wins over playoff teams. Furman doesn't have one. I like Dominic Roberto from Furman toting the rock. I just have to trust what I've seen out of Elon against better competition with guys like Marcus Hillman on the defense side of the ball, getting sacks and forcing turnovers. I'm going to take Elon for our first different pick of the bracket.
That's good. And now you can't get banned, and only I could get banned.
What?
Musk, Twitter, Elon. That one just flew completely over your head.
No, because you didn't make a single mention of Twitter. Okay.
I know, but like it was inferred. Elon banned Twitter. It's okay though. It's okay though.
All right, moving on to the final first round matchup. Davidson 8-3 at Richmond 8-3. And Liam, I'm gonna interrupt you, and I'm not gonna let you go first because I need to rant real quick.
Whoa.
Davidson's playing in this game.
Oh yeah, fair.
They shouldn't be. You know who should be playing in this game? The St. Thomas Tommies. The St. Thomas Tommies just went 10-1 in FCS play, and they're not allowed in this playoff because, they played D3 a few years ago. Let's not let them play in the playoffs. Postseason ban for teams moving up conferences. That's a stupid rule. Why are we punishing teams for being so good that we refuse to let them show their talent on a larger stage? Do you ban the smart 10-year-old from high school spelling bees because he skipped a bunch of grades? No, you let him dominate the supposedly smarter, older, and better kids because he deserves the opportunity to shine because of the work he put in. This is garbage, man.
That is I'm facts.
Richmond, pure spite pick.
Also, Jacksonville State has somewhat of the same argument too, but theirs is transition to FBS, so they can't get in. All that stuff is garbage. We saw what happened with James Nass and CAA last year. You're just hurting the kids and these fans that put in so much time and effort to. It's garbage. I'm taking Richmond too, though. I don't think this Davidson team is near their level. And Reese Udinsky, talk about a great quarterback, about 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 3K passing yards. Richmond's got a squad.
Yeah, Richmond's got a good team. This should be
scary.
This should be the St. Thomas Tommies, though. And if you watch that Tommies Davidson game, you would completely agree with me. But I will cool off. We'll move to the second round because that's where we are now. So on my sheet, I have the winner of St. Francis Delaware winner at South Dakota State. We both have Delaware. So Blue Hens taking on the number 1 seeded Jackrabbits in Brookings, Liam.
Yeah, I think I'm picking South Dakota State from start to finish, from preseason to now. I thought they're the best team in the country. I still think they should have a win against Iowa, but Tucker Kraft got hurt. He's back. Congrats to Tucker, just declared for the NFL draft today after the Jackrabbits final game. Maybe that's after a national championship. Maybe it's after the second round rather. Who knows? Mark Gronowski also got hurt in that game. They had dudes dropping like flies, man. Brutal. Adam Bach, the linebacker, another future NFL starting linebacker. Like, this guy is a monster. His health is massive. We don't know if he's going to be fully healthy yet. We need to see Bach on the field. I really like the Jacks, though.
Yeah, Jack's coach was on ESPNU during the selection show, and the people on the desk asked about Bach's status. Coach seemed pretty optimistic that he would be able to get him back for the first playoff game. So that's a good sign that he's making progress. But yeah, domination. Nothing more on this from me. It's just domination from the Jacks. I'm taking them by a lot here. I think this is the best team in the FCS. Now we got the matchup we've all been waiting for, the Fordham Rams. You lose by 1 point at Holy Cross, 53-52. Now you get a chance for revenge at Holy Cross. They just had an 11-0 season. Are you going to stick it to them like you should have in the regular season? Because I thought they were the better team and they deserved to win that game. Or is Holy Cross going to continue this Cinderella season?
When you could get one road win off rip against a good New Hampshire team, and the other team that you're playing right now just didn't have that. Like, they're off a bye and stuff, So I like Fordham to take that momentum and really, get this revenge win against Holy Cross. We talked a lot about their receivers and Tim Demora at quarterback. DeKeith Carter has 20.3 yards per catch this year. He's another one of their 1,000+ yard receivers, and he's been the guy lately that's been tearing it up week after week.
Yep, another similar pick. I'm also taking Fordham here in a revenge spot. Look, Tim Demora, he's going to have some special performances in this playoff, and I think that this is one of them. Taking down Holy Cross, revenge spot. This Fordham team is so fun to watch on that offense side of the ball, like we've talked about. I'm going to take Fordham here.
Trying to raise his NFL draft stock too, which there's potential to do that with a lot of uncertainty after Stroud Young now.
Yeah, and I would even say after just Young, but that's a different topic for a different time. William & Mary, 5 seed, 10-1 season for the Tribe, taking on the Gardner-Webb Running Bulldogs. Liam, is this going to be a runaway?
Yeah, I think William & Mary absolutely smokes them. I think Darius Wilson should be playing quarterback at FBS school next year. And I remember watching this team and their beautiful schemed offense obliterate Charlotte way back when in this season. These guys are a really good football team, and there's going to be too much for G-Webb.
Yeah, I agree. This is just a not good spot for Gardner-Webb.
No.
They're a fine team, but realistically, I don't see them making any moves outside of the first round. This is just a complete mismatch, in my opinion. I'm taking the Tribe easily here. Yeah. And they will be playing the winner of, in my opinion, if this happens, which I do believe it will, one of the best second round matchups we could see. The Bobcats of Montana State hosting the Wildcats of Weber State. These two teams played a dang good football game earlier.
They did. And I picked Weber State to win that game, and I was wrong. But that's okay, because I could pick Weber State to win right now in Bozeman, and I could be right. So I'm going to take Weber State. I think that this team is just excellent. I see the smile on your face. I liked what they've done against a really good competition. Let's not forget, Utah State had a lot of steam and momentum coming into this season. Weber State said, well, we care. We're in Logan. We're just going to beat you 35-7. Easy stuff. I love their defense. Give me the Wildcats.
The run game of both of these teams is electric. Montana State beat Weber State. I'm sorry, but I hate being so similar to you. I also have Weber State. Like, out of all of the top 4 teams that could lose in the second round, I think that this is the most likely spot. Montana State's playing a team that you could make an argument is a top, 5 or 6 team in the FCS. This Wildcat team is electric. I think that they get momentum after beating a solid North Dakota team. They're going to have their legs moving. Montana State off a bye. You can consider that good because they get rest, or you can consider it bad because they may be a little bit cold. Weber State's hot, man. They're hot. They're hot, 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 hot chocolate. If you remember the Polar Express, that's a great
What
mention.
a strange reference.
Look, man, it's Christmas time. I can mention a Christmas movie.
Yeah, going to the Polar Express is wild, though.
Hey, just like a train, they're going to absolutely demolish Montana State and be on track for a great matchup in the quarterfinals with Willie
Say no
Mary.
more. Say no more. I knew exactly too that when you DM me last night, it said, "Oh, I'm making my bracket right now. I'm gonna be so surprised if they're gonna be." I was like, "Yeah, these are gonna be about
The
pick
same.
for pick the same." Yeah.
It's just Elon and Furman. So Elon, give me a free verification badge, please. Thank you. All right, moving on. North Dakota State at the Fargo Dome hosting the Grizzlies of Montana. Montana's been a little bit disappointing, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it disappointing this year. But if it's anything that can be, something they rely on, this is the most vulnerable North Dakota State team we've seen in a while.
It is, but how bad is a vulnerable North Dakota State team?
Better than
Like,
you.
yeah, like a vulnerable North Dakota State team is still a team that should have had a non-conference road win at Arizona if it weren't for some incompetent coaching in the fourth quarter. Truthfully, I like NDSU here. One of my players to watch. We have three players to watch in this field. Cody Mount, offensive tackle. Guy is a beast. He's a behemoth and just moves people out of the way with absolute ease. 6'6" tackle. He's NFL ready. He's going to be 24 years old, so it's extremely important that when he's drafted, he is NFL ready. I think he demonstrates that with quick and nimble feet, excellent strength, just precise and violent strikes to defenders. He sets the edge super well, and guess what? He brings the best vibes to the table possible. Just don't ask him about golfing, though.
Well, I was going to say after his 15-year NFL career, hopefully he's had enough, golf training.
Disc golf.
You know what, man? After I played disc golf because I had so much fun talking to Cody about it, I decided, what, I'm going to go play disc golf with some of my buddies. I dislocated my elbow after the third freaking hole. So you know what? That's not for me. Yeah, complete athlete Andrew Strowman here. I'm going to stick to normal golf. And Cody Mount, stellar player. He's a day 2 pick, in my opinion, probably second round if I could pick, which
had such a good season.
I mean, yeah, he's so freaking good. And you talked about the vibes, his celebrations. Just, I think we need to start grading people not on their performance on the field, but their celebrations. And I think he's number 1 in the country.
He's up there. Who do you got though?
I have to take North Dakota State, but I do want to highlight a player on the Grizzlies. Patrick O'Connell, the edge rusher for the Grizzlies, one of the best defenders in the FCS. There's one word to describe him: freak. He is a freak. Just one of the biggest reasons the Grizzlies are actually playing a football game and not sitting on the couch with me with some potato chips. Regardless, yeah, I say potato weird. I don't know. Regardless of the record, Montana is far from a bad team. They've played a ton of great teams close. If you remember that Sac State game on an ESPN network, that was fun. Now, granted, they didn't play Montana State close, played Weber State close. They played some decent teams close. This is arguably the most vulnerable Bison team in a hot minute, and I think Montana can give them a fight. I'm not going to pick them to win outright, but O'Connell wreaks havoc on every offensive line, and we could see him, and we probably will see him, match up with your guy and my guy, Cody Malk. It's going to be a fun matchup in Fargo, North Dakota that week. But of course, I'm also taking the Bison because I want to be right. Next up, Samford, 10-1 Samford against a hot Idaho team.
Yeah, sorry, Idaho. I'm taking Samford here. I think that secondary that Samford has is elite. You have Cortland Marsh, who's a stud. I think he's got over 10 pass breakups. You have one of my players to watch in this field, Fred Flavors. He's 5'9", 153-pound defensive back, and he's got 17 pass breakups this season, 2 blocked kicks, 46 total tackles. He might be small, but he's a dog, Andrew. Say it with me.
He's a dog.
He is so good.
He is a dog. But you know who
Yes.
else is a dog, Liam?
Yeah, Hakeem Johnson also in the Samford secondary.
You know who else is a dog, Liam?
Coach Eck, Hanhattan.
Coach Eck and my player focus for the Idaho Vandals, Hayden Hatton. Look, the stud from Scottsdale, man. How talented do you
Ooh,
have to be to
nice
have
nickname.
a, thank you, 74 catches, 1,000 yards on the dot, precision? That's another thing to pay
Attention
attention.
in detail.
Attention to detail. And in my opinion, my favorite statistic, this man's got 15 touchdowns on the season. He's had more games with multiple touchdowns than games under 100 yards. He's averaging over 10 catches per game in the month of November. The 6'2 freak with ball skills like no other in the FCS is a nightmare to guard. I could go on for another 16 minutes just talking about insane statistics that he's put up this year. With a favorable chance to make a run into, in my opinion, at least the semis, Hatton's going to be a big reason why people are becoming Vandals fans all across the country. Him and the legend himself, head coach Jason Eck. I'm taking Idaho here.
Was it good that we're on different sides there? But what a matchup with Samford secondary against Hayden Haddon. That's going to be stellar. I also just really like Samford because of how they played against Georgia. They only lost 33-0 in Georgia. I know they couldn't score, but their defense kept it in check.
I mean, if we want to go back a year, they put up a stellar performance against Florida.
True, very true.
They pushed Florida to the limits. They pushed Dan Mullen to the edge, and now he's on ESPN doing, in my opinion, a good job.
Yeah, it does a good job, yes.
Yeah, I like Dan Mullen. All right, moving on. Incarnate Word. I know RG3 is watching this game intensely, looking for the man, the myth, the legend, Lindsey Scott, going up against Elon or Furman. I have Elon. Liam has Furman. Liam, do you have Furman moving on and upsetting UIW?
Gosh, no. Gosh, no. I
Not.
got Incarnate Word. Lindsey Scott, another one of my player focuses. Well, my last one, I guess. But 3,791 pass yards, completing 73% of his passes. How many touchdowns? Little 50 burger passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. He's been dropping bombs all over the field. He's been in college for, man, since I don't know, since
Ever.
before Twitter even was founded. This guy has been in college forever, and it's so good to see him balling out at an elite level after this journey that he's been on. And football might not last forever. I do think he's got a bright football future ahead, but when his playing days are over, what's going to stop Lindsey Scott from just throwing some darts and becoming the MVP of the Professional Darts Corporation? Because that's all he does on the field anyway.
Is it actually a corporation for darts?
It's the Professional Darts Corporation.
That's
Why not, Lindsey Scott? Go throw some darts at MSG, sell out the building. He's on a revenge tour, a redemption tour. Don't dare get in his way.
I don't think I can top that. I have UIW big here. I think that this game is going to be stellar. That offense is elite. And how UIW made this transition. They had a great team last year, led by Cam Ward. Obviously, he transfers up to Washington State with UIW's former head coach, and they bring in Lindsey Scott is now their starting quarterback. Going from Cam Ward to Lindsey Scott, absolutely amazing job by everybody involved with those decisions, man. Just great job by UIW. Texas, you got a great FCS team that's not named Sam Houston State because they are now going to the FBS. So that too, great timing for that fall off. All right, last second round matchup: Sacramento State, Richmond. Liam, do we need to say anything about this?
Yeah, I'm taking Richmond a massive upset
because
I don't think anybody else is going to. So why not? Richmond's traveling all the way to Sacramento for this game. It's not a very menacing home field advantage as we've seen. They get a few thousand fans in there, that's for sure. It's just not menacing. I know the place is going to be jumping though, but why not give me Richmond? Late night thriller. Why not give me the Spiders? Reese Dinsky is a stud at quarterback. I love this Spiders team. I don't know. This is a gut feel pick. A top team's got to go down at some point, right? So Sac State, I hate it had to be you, but Cameron Scaboto, Asher O'Hara,
Scatterbo. That was
Scatabo.
awful.
That was awful pronunciation, but I'm Liam Blutman. I get away with it. Mr.
Yeah.
Dunaway, elite season is coming to a close. Richmond by 6.
Talk about you need to see a top team go down. We literally both just picked Weber State to take down Montana State.
Yep. We
So
need to see a
two
top
top four
team to
two
go down
top four
again.
teams are just dead in the water in the second round. I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm going to take Sac State.
Howard.
Call me a coward. Asher O'Hara, do another spin in the air to get into the end zone.
How does he do it every week?
I don't know, man. We need
He
to
does
start.
it every week and Scatterbo like hurdles or trucks through someone every
Is that
week.
something he's being coached into? Like, all right, Asher, we need you to, on this quarterback power, we need you to just jump. And to make you harder to tackle, you have more spinning velocity if you just spin your body all around. And you know what? It works. It works. You can't fault him. It works.
Defies logic, defies gravity, maybe makes MTSU fans a little jealous.
All right. Start of the quarterfinals. We're now getting into the heart of December. December 9th and 10th. This round will occur. South Dakota State for both of us. Fordham for both of us, Liam. What do we have?
Jackrabbits. Yeah, their defense is way too elite. Their front seven is disgusting. They've got NFL dudes. They have like a lot of NFL dudes. And something we haven't talked about is South Coast State offense. They could keep pace with Fordham if it has to be a shootout. The running game is elite with Isaiah Davis. They've got really good offensive linemen. Tucker Kraft, ideally, it's looking like he's fully healthy. That's a scary sight. He's the best tight end in the FCS. Not even close. And then the Yankee Twins at receiver. Yeah, I'll take the Jackrabbits.
Taking the Jacks here. I do think Fordham can give them a run for their money, but I'm going to take the Jacks here because the Jacks are elite. All right, next up, William and Mary for both of us. Weber State for both of us. Down go the Bobcats. Will the Wildcats make a run?
Weber State.
All right, so once again, we have the same freaking pick. I hate that we're so similar. Netherlands won 2-0. Let's freaking go.
That's really
parlay winning.
That was just not. This is just not the time for that. You even said 8 minutes ago there is no World Cup talk here. Come on,
look, man. The only world that I care about is the Weber world. State.
Thank you. Damian Lillard would be proud.
Dame time. Hey, it's Dame time for Weber State to make a run in these playoffs. Wildcats go crazy. I also have Weber State.
Can we wait, what?
I also have Weber State here.
Oh, I thought you said you have them losing here. I was like, wait.
No. Why would I do the Dame time?
I don't know. I was so confused. Can we just talk about Weber State though and what they've been able to do in the return game once again? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, we could talk about their return game, or we could talk about how there's just some weird voodoo with Montana State and just weird snaps in that game.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Weber State lost that game because they botched 4 snaps and had 4 safeties.
Yeah, that's weird too.
Absolutely insane, but they get their get back against Montana State. Then they're going to beat William and Mary to go into the semifinals against an elite Jacks team. As we move on to both of us, North Dakota State. You have Samford. I have Idaho.
I can't tell you how close I was to picking Samford in this game, but I'm taking the Bison. Hunter Lipke is a problem. In my opinion, he's the best NFL fullback prospect that we've seen since Juszczyk.
I would agree.
Lipke's an absolute star. Leg dabbing enthusiast. I like NDSU here. Although, again, I was close to Samford. I was real close.
I was close with Idaho. I'll admit it. I think this Idaho team is a lot better than people are going to give them credit for being a 4-loss team. I think Idaho keeps us to a 3-point game. But North Dakota State, they've been here before. They've got the experience. They've got the talent. They've got the coaching. Not to say that Jason Eck isn't a good coach. He's an elite coach. But these coaches at the Bison, as Bruin seems to agree with me, they've won multiple national titles. I'm going to take the Bison here in a very close win in the Fargo Dome. As we move on to the final quarterfinal matchup, both of us have UIW. I have Sac State. Liam has the upset in Richmond. Liam, is Richmond this year's Florida Gulf Coast, St. Peter's, all mixed up into one?
Dunking on dudes, Dunk City, shout out Sherwood Brown. No, incarnate word, the legend of Lindsey Scott, and this just astronomically out of this world elite offense keeps rolling.
I am going to agree with you. UIW, instead of taking out Richmond, they're going to take down Sac State. Look, Sac State's a very good football team. I think they've also gotten by on the skin of their teeth one too many times against an offense that can score at will, like UIW, like the legend that is Lindsey Scott. Once again, RG3, he freaking loves him, as do all of us. I'm going to take UIW.
Starts. Go watch our Lindsey Scott interview too by our boy Dylan.
Twas elite. It was an elite interview.
Was. Oh, you're all in on this Christmas thing, huh?
The was the night before Christmas and the
Sac
State lost. UIW made their run into the semifinals against NDSU. But first, we have another semifinal we have to talk about. South Dakota State. Weber State for both of us.
Yeah.
Is Weber State just going to sneak into the national title game, or are the dominant Jacks going to take it?
No, I gotta go with Mark Gronowski and the Jackrabbits. Gronowski's just another one of these guys on South Dakota State that we haven't even talked much about. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Does it with both his arm and his legs. Just grit, toughness. I like South Dakota State here as long as they're fully healthy, man. That team is scary, and they should still have a win at Iowa, who could very well be playing for a Big Ten title, which is just disgusting to think about. That's how good this Jackrabbits team is.
Really? You just had to bring up Iowa's going to play for a Big Ten title game. Really?
Because it's disgusting that that's happening. Yeah. South Dakota State should have a win over Iowa. I'm not going to get over it.
How about instead of Frisco, we send South Dakota State to Indianapolis?
We should do it, yeah.
Or, you know what? I've been saying this for a while. If it's like two Big Sky or Missouri Valley teams in the national title, which it kind of has been a few times, how about we just have the game in Minneapolis so I can go to it? I'm a little bit selfish. Yes, I'm completely selfish. I'm completely greedy. I want to go to the FCS national title, but I also don't want to go to Texas. I don't want to pay for that flight. Unless someone wants to pay for my flight, then by all means, pay for it. But South Dakota State makes it to Frisco. Are we going to have a Dakota marker game between NDSU and SDSU, or is UIW going to pull off the upset?
I'm now starting to think that you might take UIW, but I think you're picking NDSU, and I'm also picking NDSU. Yeah, they've been vulnerable, but again, a vulnerable NDSU team is still how good. They're still how much better than everyone else. I like NDSU to get there. We talked about it in August. We said, dude, we talked to South Dakota State and NDSU players, and we said, like, guys, what's going on? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Rivalry game, blah, blah, blah. They're both, all the guys were like, I'm sure we'll see him. I'm sure we'll see him in Frisco. Frisco's going to be insane. So there's still an alcohol there now. So yeah, South Dakota State, North Dakota State for the title is going to be the game I go with. And maybe I'll go do it. Maybe you'll come with me, Anders, or maybe we'll do a little transfer portal CFB reunion.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to fly.
That's true too.
I'm having leg surgery in December.
Walk. Well, maybe not walk.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a knee scooter, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk.
Scoot on over.
I really, really want to take UIW. In my little draw up bracket, I have NDSU. I really want to take UIW. I don't think this North Dakota State team is all that and a bag of chips. I think that there's just a little bit more that they could be. I'm not going to let you bully me into it.
You're a coward.
As much as I want to do it.
Courage.
If I'm a coward, you're a coward.
Why?
Because you didn't pick UIW either.
Yeah, but I went with the best two teams, in my opinion.
Look, man, South Dakota State is dominant. North Dakota State is also dominant. That was one of the best games of the year. I'm going to take NDSU because I just think that this season is going to end up with us having a Dakota marker rematch in Frisco, Texas.
Move the game to Mini.
Move the game to Minneapolis. At least make it close so more people can go. Now, granted, I'm sure people from North Dakota and South Dakota more than willing to pay for a flight to go to sunny Texas to get away from the negative 20-degree weather. But sets up the matchup, Liam. Jacks, Bison, Dakota marker, SDSU, NDSU. one of the best rivalries in the FCS. Is SDSU just going to complete this magical run, or is NDSU just going to put it all on the table and say, you know what? We are still the fathers of the FCS.
I think it's really hard to run the table in the way that South Dakota State will have to do it. I think it's really difficult and should not be overlooked. But what do I care? Jack Kravitz, give me a final score of 19-17.
That is FCS football between the Dakota schools.
What, you got 17-13 game, they get to 19-17. The extra point is blocked, and NDSU's taking it down the sideline. But someone on the South Dakota State holder gets in there and makes a tackle. That's football.
It's got to be the punter. It's got to be the punter for the brand. I want to take North Dakota State. Not that I think that they're a better team, but because I think that they're more experienced. I want to take North Dakota State because they're more experienced in this spot. But South Dakota State's elite. They've got NFL talent. Not to say that NDSU doesn't, but South Dakota State's lived up to their expectations. They played well against an FBS team in Iowa, who's got one of the best defenses in the country. I'm going to take South Dakota State to win the national title, as will you. I don't like the pick because it's chalk, but I like the pick because it's the best team. That's all I really need to say. NDSU is a great football team. They're going to always be amazing as long as, they don't just suck. SDSU, I think that
that's the goal.
It's pretty much how it goes. If you're not great, you suck. If you're not first, you're last. I'm taking the Jacks here. National title. Go crazy, Brookings, South Dakota. And
every king has to step down from the throne at some point.
Yeah, got to let the prince become king, handing of the crown. Now, granted, I don't think that crown's going to stay too long because
NDSU will take it back next year, but
yeah. Good. But that's the end of it. We both have South Dakota State winning the national title over North Dakota State. Few surprises, few different picks.
No, 96.9% of our bracket was the same thing.
Now, granted, I had Idaho going to the quarterfinals. You had Samford doing it. I had Elon. You had Furman. You had Richmond beating Sac State. I had UIW beating Sac State.
We had the same Final Four.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
That's so.
But you know what that means? Liam, do you know what that means? Great minds think alike. We got this. I got this perfect. You were only a few picks off. I got it perfect.
I got 0%.
If you got 0%, then congratulations to national champions, Eastern Kentucky. And on that note, I think we need to end this. This has gone a little long. FCS playoffs. Make sure you watch it. We understand it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but there's so many talented players here. So many talented
games are elite.
Deserving fan bases. A lot of fun to watch. It's not just North Dakota State, everybody. There's a lot of great teams in the FCS. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
To these programs.
It means a heck of a lot. It means a heck of a lot to the players, the families, everybody involved. Make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, comment what you want next. Maybe comment, where did we get it wrong? Maybe Fordham takes down South Dakota State in the quarterfinals. Maybe North Dakota State gets upset by Montana. Maybe great. Maybe St. Thomas just shows up to the stadium and is like, "Nah, we're playing. What are you going to do to stop us?"
Maybe we have a coin flip decide the game.
Maybe we have a little coin flip in overtime, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes style. But I don't think that's how it works in college. It isn't. Everybody, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, TPortalCFB. The ads are on the screen. Everybody, have a great day.